Laced Up Nation, what's really good though? We're back here again. Another week of The Last Dance, episodes 5 and 6 out of 10. Man, this is going way too fast. We're already 60% in. Man, 10 episodes is definitely not going to be enough. You know, this is the type of stuff that me personally, I love watching. And I know, especially if you're watching this episode, you love watching this too. Man, we can't get enough. That's why I'm super excited for whenever that Kobe documentary comes out. I know that's probably a few years away, but I can't get enough of this stuff. So without further ado, let's get into my top takeaways from episodes 5 and 6. So right off the bat, first of all, you can see I got the Dream Team jersey on. So we're gonna do a couple points on the Dream Team. And where else can I start other than Zeke? And he's not even on the team, but I gotta start with him. Now, there's just no way, in my opinion, that he can't be on the team. He has to be on this team. If you look at now, if we go and see team chemistry, team morale, the guys hated him, this and that. First of all, who hated him? Okay, probably Michael didn't like him, obviously. Magic didn't like him, right? Bird didn't like him supposedly, and then probably Scotty, right? That's only 4. So that's not half the team, first of all. So I don't know why people are saying half the team. Now, probably the most important people didn't like him. Okay, fine. I just don't feel, if you take Michael for his word, which, you know, may or may not be a smart thing to do, he never said don't put Isaiah on the team, right? He never actually said that. So was it Magic who said it? Was it Larry who said that? We don't know what that was. I just don't feel like, I don't get the feeling that there was actually a real attempt to try to mend those, situations between the players. And I think that, I don't know, I just feel like when you talk about, that was the first Olympic team with the pros. Like, I think for that given situation, I think they could have maybe figured it out to play 1 month together. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there was an extensive effort and whatever, they were going to lose Michael or whatever. I just feel like when you look at it and when you think about that time, Isaiah Thomas was probably the best point guard in the league at that point. Magic was old. John Stockton, I don't think John Stockton's ever been better than Zeke. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's a little sad, and it makes me a little angry. And it's the only thing that takes away from that team, because obviously whether he was on the team or not, they were going to get gold, right? They were just so much better, and they were already good enough. It's not like he was going to help them be better, although they would be better, but they wouldn't get a better result. It still takes away from the overall team, from what it could have been to have Zeke on there. How iconic would that team photo have been with Zeke there instead of, maybe you could say John Stockton, but I personally think a bit of Chris Mullin, but whatever. Just imagine Zeke in that picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man. And I know they had to have Christian Laettner, or else that would have been the easy pick. But man, just sad. And I really do think that he should have been on the team. And I think, man, there's just no way. There's no way you can tell me that he shouldn't have been on the team. There's just no way. And I don't know how else to say it. I just wanted to get that off my chest. The other thing with the Dream Team, the whole Tony Kukoc thing. Okay, Jordan and Pippen went at him hard. They went at him hard. And it kind of mirrors a little bit what we saw later in the show about Dan Marley. It had nothing to do with Tony Kukoc or Dan Marley. It just was about getting back at Jerry Krause. And that's obviously what a lot of this stuff is focused on, just the relationship, how fractured and how petty these guys were to go at each other. But they went at him basically just because Jerry Krause went out and got him and was raving about getting Tony Kukoc or whatever, and he still was dragging his feet and not giving Scottie Pippen the deal that he deserved. Now, a lot of people are saying like, oh, that was uncalled for. Michael Wilbon was like, oh, that's unfair, that they were out of line. No, they were not out of line, because we're not talking about them going up to him and doing some illegal stuff like beating him up or, I don't know. They weren't like doing anything out of the line. In my opinion, they were doing anything out of line. They were just whipping him, showing him that, hey, we know you're going to be in the NBA, but this is what the NBA is about. And honestly, at that point, I think it's just management's fault. I mean, at the end of the day, the only reason that situation happened is because the players are angry. And who are they angry at? They're not angry at anybody else other than management. Managers got to take care of their players first before they go out and do it. Well, they don't have to do, they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they think is the best thing. But if you don't take good care of your players that you have in-house, you can't be then surprised when they act out in a certain way, or they're angry or they're upset. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think that all of that was warranted and it was not out of line. But man, poor Tony Kukoc, man, he went through it. But shout out to Tony Kukoc for, you know, he took it. He played pretty bad in that first game, but he came back in the championship game, and he took his team to the championship game still, and he performed really well, and then obviously went on to be a great NBA player. So I don't think it was unlucky, or no, it was unfortunate that it had to happen to him that way. But I don't think that it was out of line or out of pocket, or, you know, some like horrible thing that they did. All they did was vent a little frustration on the court legally, you know, and I got nothing to say. I got nothing else to say about it. The next thing I wanted to touch on is about Michael Jordan and the way he handled pressure, the way he handled, not in-game, I'm not talking about in-game, I'm talking about how he handled the media and the outside pressure of being who he was. I think that, you know, he took a lot of criticism. First of all, just because you are the best player in the world in the NBA, that is just going to inherently come with a lot of pressure, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism. So there. Then, obviously, a lot of things he brought onto himself, you know, with the gambling stuff, with the whole Harvey Gantt versus Jesse Helms thing, you know, the way he acted, that he definitely should have handled all of those things very differently, and it would have saved him from a lot of criticism. But you could tell, man, he just really struggled with being famous, with being under the public eye when it came to negative things, right? He was really cool with being loved. Obviously, that's kind of easy, right, to handle that. But when it came to criticism and negative pressure, he really struggled, man. And that's why, you know, a lot of people who support Michael Jordan and say he's the best of all time, one of the common arguments you hear is like, yeah, man, he could have won 8 in a row if he wouldn't have retired. He would have won 8. He did 3 in a row, and then he went 2, and then he did 3 in a row. So we could have done 8, and that's why he's the greatest of all time. Well, actually, I'm convinced now. I'm absolutely convinced. Just the way he was handling the pressure and the way that he interacted with, you know, the media and all that, there's just no way he could have done that. If he wouldn't have retired right after that 93 season, you know, maybe they win 1 more or 2 more, but there's no way that they make it all the way to 98 winning, because he would have broke. He obviously would have broke. There's just no way. There's just no way to convince me that he would be able to handle all of that pressure all the way through. And it's why, if you were to take that Michael Jordan and bring him into today's game, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the basketball. I'm talking about the social parameters, the social scrutiny that there is now. I don't think there's a way in hell that he would have been able to handle the scrutiny that comes from today's social media world. You know, you talk about the whole gambling thing. Imagine that in social media. Oh my goodness. He wouldn't. Oh my! You remember it was a big story then. Imagine now. Same thing with the whole Harvey Gantt thing. Imagine now, and then imagine all these other things imagine all the extra stories that we never heard about. They would have came out. Man, I feel like that Michael Jordan in today's era would just really struggle. He might have just played a few years and been like, man, I can't take this, man. This is crazy, right? That's one of the things that I really admire about a lot of, you know, most of the athletes today, but especially LeBron. You know, we always talk about Michael versus LeBron. LeBron's probably the most hated athlete of all time, man. He's been hated since he was in high school. He's always been hated. Everything that he does, he can never do anything right. But you know, at the end of the day, he makes a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong in terms of handling media and all that. He says sometimes he comes off really arrogant or aloof or whatever. You know, like he comes out like he makes mistakes, but he usually handles it pretty well. He seems pretty personable most of the time. He's really good with using social media to make himself seem like a good, happy and in tune with the whole social media thing. And he never gets in trouble. You never hear really, stories outside of basketball where he got in trouble or this and that. So he handles it as perfectly as I think as anybody could, given the situation and given the fact that he's just so hated. So many people probably are just trying to figure out one negative thing to put about him, and you just don't really ever see it, man. So shout out to LeBron for handling that aspect of the game. It's way better, I believe, than Michael could have or would have. And Michael, if he would have grew up in this era, he probably would have figured out how to do it a little bit better. But man, that is one very, very valid criticism of Michael, is I think that he struggled to handle negative pressure and just that prodding, that eye that's always on you when you're the man, that negative eye that's just always on you. He definitely struggled to handle that. So anyway, those are kind of my main take. Obviously, there's so much to talk about, and there's always 2 episodes. There's so much to talk about. But the other couple just quick hitters, man. Shout out to Kobe, man. Well, it was great seeing always great seeing. You guys know how I feel about him. And he's right. Those one-on-one comparisons and those greatest of all time comparisons, even though we just did a whole bunch of those, but they're just so irrelevant, man. It's just so hard to even do it. We should just try to appreciate everybody's game for what it was. And, it's just kind of ridiculous to try to say who's better and whatnot. But it is fun, though. I'm not going to lie. It is fun to do that sometimes. So anyway, that was that. What else? Yeah, man, how crazy would that be? Jordan signing with Adidas instead of the Nike swoosh. We would have got 3 stripes right here. Man, how crazy would that have been, right? And then the last thing was just man, again, I just miss basketball. You saw how he was going at it with the Knicks, the playoff basketball, the trash talk, the high leverage moments, how he was going at the Suns. Oh, man, like I really miss it. We'd be in the playoffs right now, probably in the second round, I think, right now. Man, there's just nothing better than playoff basketball. When you love NBA basketball, you guys know the regular season is one season and the playoffs is a completely different season. It's a different style. It's a different intensity. Man, I miss basketball. Oh my goodness, when is it coming back? But anyway, that's it for the episodes 5 and 6. Let me know in the comments what you think about what I thought. Should Zeke be on the team? Was that fair what they did to Tony? And would Michael stand up to the pressure of today's social media era? You think he could handle it? I don't know. So we'll be here next week after the next few episodes. I think it's something about how when Michael punched Steve Kerr. I didn't really see the preview, but it's something about him in practice and Steve Kerr. So it might be about that. Yeah, man. I'm really sad that we're getting to the end of it, but I'm still having so much fun watching them and then talking about them with y'all. I love y'all. Shout out Pete. Shout out everybody who loves us. Be easy.